deserve better. Shallowick has got to go.
What's up everybody, Stankie here, and today we're doing a complete enhancement guide for M+. Main build, build variations, notable talents and interactions, AoE and single target opener and rotation, as well as super secret pro tech like macros. For more enhancement content and PvE guides, make sure to subscribe and lightly slap that notification bell. For the main build, we're using a Totemic Lava Lash Wind Fury centered build, revolving around cramming out as many hot hand empowered lava lashes as possible and spewing out Wind Fury and Flame Tongue procs with an absurd amount of short cooldown AoE burst with Primordial Wave and Storm, making it an absolute joy to play with, even if you have to babysit a totem. Now in the Totemic tree, you want to make sure you have Amplification Core and Earth Surge. Due to reactivity, anytime you lava lash during hot hand, you also cast Sundering at 50% effectiveness, which in turn triggers Earth Surge for more surging totem ticks. And on top of that, Sundering from Lava Lash is uncapped and can proc Wind Fury on all targets hit. And anytime Wind Fury procs, Flame Tongue has a chance to flare up and deal 300% of its damage to all nearby enemies. And this is true for all Wind Fury proccing abilities, most notably on AoE it's Sundering, Crash Lightning and Primordial Storm. But don't be surprised to see Flame Tongue being one of your top damaging abilities in a dungeon. Lastly, Whirling Elements. Anytime you pop Surging Totem, you gain 1 Air, Earth, and Fire mote. When you cast Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, or Elemental Blast, you consume the Air mote and send out 3 Surging Bolts, which increases your totem damage by 30% until it expires, so it's important to get a spender off fast after popping a new totem. Flame Shock consumes the Earth mote, making it deal 300% increased damage and hit up to 6 targets, which is great for spreading Flame Shock without having to Lava Lash. And the Fire mote makes your next Lava Lash trigger Hot Hand, which can be triggered even if Hot Hand is active. Then it just extends its duration. 16-second Hot Hand windows, anyone? And moving over to the enhancement tree, the core build, if you will, looks like this. Linked in the description below. Starting off with notable talents. Doom Winds, 1 minute cooldown that increases your Wind Fury proc chance to 100% or close to it, so during it, your Wind Fury proccing abilities goes nuts. For example, each hot hand empowered Lava Lash procs Wind Fury on all targets, due to the Sundering it shoots out. Then we have the new Primordial Wave, instantly fires projectiles at all Flame Shock targets, deals a ton of damage and gives you 5 Maelstrom and 10% haste, and 4% for each additional target hit. Our very own Bloodlust on a 30-second cooldown, and Primordial Storm uncapped AoE deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets, but can proc Wind Fury and slaps 3 times in a row, doing an absurd amount of damage when combined with Doom Winds and all our other physical damage increases. Which brings us to Feral Spirits and Witch Doctor's Ancestry. Now you can play Flowing Spirits, but it will perform worse than Witch Doctor's Ancestry, since we really want to combine the 30% physical damage increase from Feral Spirits with Primordial Storm, which you can't reliably do with Flowing Spirits. Important to note that Witch Doctor's Ancestry's cooldown reduction procs from Maelstrom generated, not spent. So even if you're capped on Maelstrom, you still reduce Feral Spirit's cooldown when you generate. Then we have Legacy of the Frost Witch. Anytime we spend 10 Maelstrom, Storm Strike resets and our physical and frost damage is increased by 25%, and Storm Strike resets are great for single target, but it's mostly the 25% extra physical damage we're after, and you want to aim to have close to 100% uptime on this buff, as it buffs the vast majority of your toolkit. We also get Elemental Blast. Spenders overall for this build, at least on AoE, is not worth a whole lot. They're mainly used to maintain Legacy of the Frost Witch buff, so using Elemental Blast, we have the added bonus of getting the secondary stat buff from it when we refresh our Legacy buff. On single target, however, Elemental Blast trucks a fair bit. So yeah, it just works. Sundering with Molten Thunder. You can no longer in-cap with Sundering, but anytime you Sundering, it has a chance to reset its own cooldown. 40% chance increased by 12% per target hit, up to 5. And each reset reduces your chance by half. Sundering in this build is mainly used in between hot hand procs, which we'll cover more in the rotation portion. Lastly, we have some flexible points, if you will. Looking at the current top enhancement players on Raider.io, you can see a big discrepancy in what build they're running, but it all really comes down to these 2 points, where you either go for 2 points in Elemental Assault and 1 in either Crashing Storms or Lashing Flames, or 1 point in EA and 1 in Storm's Wrath and Stormblast. That being said, the difference is not that big, and going for either of this will give you good results. I mean, all keys on 14-15 plus has been done with all 3 build variations. Personally, I'd probably go for Lashing Flames build, unless we're doing like Giga Blasty pulls where Crashing Storms could be better, but more often than not, it's gonna come down to how well you play rather than those 2 points alone. Post Malone? With that out of the way, let's go over our Aoe Opener and Rotation. Now, the Opener has several steps you want to follow to maximize your burst. So, going into a pack, you want to cast Surging Totem into Flame Shock, which hits 6 targets due to the Earth Mote. Then you pop Feral Spirits into Crash Lightning for the buff and some extra Maelstrom. Into Primordial Wave, giving you 5 Maelstrom and up to 30% haste. If you're at 10 Maelstrom, you want to cast Elemental Blast, otherwise Storm Strike to get to 10 Maelstrom. And it's important that you're at 10 Maelstrom when you spend, because you want to make sure to proc Legacy of the Frost Witch. And after Elemental Blast, you pop Doom Winds into Sundering and then Primordial Storm at 10 Maelstrom into Lava Lash spam. Now, to complicate it a little bit, if Hot Hand procs before the Sundering spam step, you want to instead spam Lava Lash. This is mainly due to the Fire Mote. As soon as you Lava Lash, you'll get a Hot Hand proc, and by doing it when you already have Hot Hand, you extend the buff duration, and Hot Hand empowered Lava Lash slaps way harder than Sundering by itself. So it's way better to pop Sundering when Hot Hand has ended. One thing to keep in mind is if you're above 60% haste and have Flame Shock on 5 to 6 targets, you can pretty much press Lava Lash every global during Hot Hand. Otherwise, you want to always weave Lava Lash, so every other global. But in a big pull with say Bloodlust, once you get to the Lava Lash step of the Opener, you can just spam it every single global and throw a Spender only if Legacy is about to fall off. Otherwise, you just overcap on Maelstrom. And if you want to complicate it further, pro cooldown tech, bring your Opener or when cooldowns are ready. With enough mobs and procs, you can get 2 sets of Feral Spirit out before Doom Winds runs out, or a Giga Primordial Slap. Assuming everything is set up correctly, after pressing Doom Winds, you slam either Sunderings or Hot Hand empowered Lava Lashes back to back, generating an absurd amount of Maelstrom, which just drains Feral Spirit's cooldown in seconds. Doesn't always work out, but something to keep in mind. Don't be overly trigger happy with hitting Primordial Storm if it's a big pull. Just make sure to press it before Doom Winds runs out, whether you have 2 or 4 spirits out. However, due to the complexity of the Opener, if you will, I really recommend slapping training dummies a fair bit to build muscle memory. Just do the Opener over and over and over again. It really makes a massive difference. Rather than going into a pack feeling overwhelmed, you're like, yeah, I've done this 5,000 times before, minimum. Now, going over to the standard rotation outside of the Opener and cooldowns, make sure Surging Totem and Flame Shock is always active and spread to max targets. Then you Lava Lash if Hot Hand is active. Make sure to weave it so every other global. Sundering, make sure Legacy is active. Elemental Blast at 10 Maelstrom if you have charges, otherwise Chain Lightning, Crash Lightning, regular Lava Lash, and Storm Strike. How it plays out is really if Hot Hand is active, you press Lava Lash every other global, and the other global is either a Spender, Crash Lightning, or Storm Strike. Occasionally Sundering, and when the gods have abandoned you, you press Flame Shock or Frost Shock as a filler. When cooldowns come back, you pretty much just send unless a pack is about to die. You want to always combine Feral Spirits with Primordial Storm and Doom Winds. The latter always lines up since Primordial Wave and Storm is 30 seconds and Doom Winds is 1 minute. Feral Spirits, however, is a little more RNG due to Witch Doctor's ancestry. However, Feral Spirit lasts for 15 seconds, so it is safe to pop them when there's like 10 seconds left. So it is safe to pop them when there's like 10 seconds left before Primordial Wave comes back. And it will still cover Primordial Storm. On the flip side, if Feral Spirit is on cooldown when Primordial Wave is ready, depending on how long that cooldown is, you can pop Primordial Wave as long as Feral Spirit comes back before Primordial Storm runs out. You're golden, but it's a bit of a judgment call. Swapping over to single target opener and rotation. For the opener, Surging Totem into Flame Shock, into Primordial Wave, and into Lava Lash, triggering the Fire Mote, giving you Hot Hand. Then you want to Lava Lash every other global and weave in Storm Strike until you hit 10 Maelstrom. Spend on Elemental Blast to get Legacy of the Frost Witch, then Feral Spirits into Doom Winds into Primordial Storm. After Primordial Storm, you continue with standard rotation, which is make sure Surging Totem and Flame Shock is always active, Lava Lash if Hot Hand is active, and again make sure to weave it so every other global should be Lava Lash, Elemental Blast or Lightning Bolt if you're at 10 Maelstrom. Elemental Blast has priority as long as you have charges. Then it's just Lava Lash without Hot Hand, Storm Strike, and fill with Flame or Frost Shock if needed. When cooldowns like Feral Spirit, Primordial Wave, and Doom Winds come back, you pretty much just send them on cooldown. Ideally, you want to combine, like I said, Feral Spirits with other cooldowns, so Primordial Wave or Doom Winds. Don't want to hold Feral Spirits for more than a few seconds, unless you're actively holding cooldowns for a certain part of a boss fight or ad spawns. But yeah, as you can see, the actual rotation is very straightforward. Lava Lash as much as possible, spend Maelstrom at 10, and if you can't do that, Storm Strike. The complexity, if you will, is all in the opener, both on single target and AoE, and I mean to some degree during cooldowns window. Then we have another super secret pro tip. Wanna make sure to macro in Surging Totem like this into Lava Lash so that you always project your totem to you every 6 seconds. Helps a lot with uptime, and then you use Totemic projection if you ever need to manually move the totem, like when tanks really want to run with mobs. I also recommend using @cursor macro like this for Surging Totem placement. Can also be used for your other totems like Incap or Windrush. For gear, you should always sim yourself. Raid Botster Optimizer is great, shows you where your biggest DPS upgrades are based on your current gear and build, so you always know what dungeons or raid bosses you should farm. And with the top gear feature, you can check which of your item setup nets you the most damage. You can also check what gems and chants you should be rocking. If you'd like me to make a beginner-friendly quick guide on how to sim your enhancement slapper, let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions at all, hit me up in the comments or become a Patreon, Twitch, or YouTube member. You gain access to my Discord, shoutouts and videos, and help with anything PvE or enhancement related. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and slap that notification bell for more enhancement content. And it really helps my channel out. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.